Wow. Hi there, Cindy.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. I'm excited to be here with you. How are you doing?
I am doing well. It's a great day and I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm excited to do this little interview with you, and learn more about who you are as a grief coach and how you serve the world. So, Cindy, I would love if you could just start with a little introduction about yourself, perhaps where you're located, and just a little bit of your background and the work that you do.
Okay. I am located in Louisiana. I am a physical therapist for many, many years that specialized in rehab. Um, I have worked with youth in youth camps and work hardening. I have gone to mission trips and worked through that. I am a certified person to assist with suicide in the ASSIST program. I am certified for NOT and in depth. So you help people, teenagers, students quit vaping and abusive substances. A lot of our hurt and pain in life comes from our own personal wounds or struggles that cause us to reach out to do other things. So when we work towards improving ourselves and helping ourselves get past things, that's how we get better. My company is CC for coaching, and it's Cindy's Collective Coaching because I believe that coaching involves many different things, but most of all, I'm supposed to meet the people where they're at. And if you have the courage to take a chance on changing and the commitment to yourself, then you can create this better life for you. And that's kind of why it's the four C's. It started out of I had a brother-in-law who had a severe cancer diagnosis. He was absolutely fine and then told he was going to die in 6 weeks. And we rallied around him to help this. And we came up with this idea to try to do candles for cancer to raise money for him. And he passed away before we really got that off the ground because it was so quick. So it caused me to honor him and want to keep working in that direction. I almost feel like I was pushed to this from my very birth. By the time I was 13, I had had four deaths in my life. They were one from drug abuse, one from suicide and PTSD from the military, medical diagnoses, and things that really impact you. And I ended up being a physical therapist because of a relative that had a head injury, and that's how I got into the caring. And I jokingly say that I care so much about things that God hardwired me that way. I was 7 and I found a stray cat, believe it or not, and hid it in my closet. And it had kittens. And I was so excited. I had kittens. This is great. I'm going to have pets. And my mother came home and said, "Oh, no, ma'am. You are not keeping all these cats." And I didn't speak to her for days because when she took it to the pound, I thought, "Oh, they're going to kill them. This is going to be terrible." So caring has been part of my makeup forever, really. And this is my way now to really touch different people by working with the youth and people in business who can't find their purpose and are just stuck. I've had clients that just I don't know where to go, and I've had grief clients and people who've lost pets. So grief encompasses so much that we just don't realize. And then the science in me geeks out on there's a brain gut connection that causes depression and grief, and there's certain foods and things. So I have this huge toolbox and I pull from physical therapy or continuing ed or health things or emotional things, and I help people find what they want, not what I'm going to tell them, but when they show up, it's what's your goal? Is the goal still the same? And how do we get there? What does that look like to you? I don't want to see someone for a year and a half and say, "Oh, you need me." That's not my thing. I want to help you grow to where you need to be. This class that Pat has for grief coaching helped me get there. I was used to short-term, long-term goals. I'm a physical therapist. Let's get rolling. Let's just do it. And this helps you slow down a little bit and helps you figure out, okay, it's not my goals, it's theirs. And if they're not ready to set it right, then that's okay. We will work towards it. One of the big things is that you have to have enough faith in yourself and understand how much fortitude it took for you to take that first step.
Mm.
And once you take that first step, you're building on that to find your path and to find the friends that'll support you to see what it'll look like. So those things are really important in doing this. And I never approach anybody the same way. We have done 3 grief groups here in town for people that have lost loved ones or whatever they're grieving about. And it's been various different things. Not one of them has been exactly the same. They all have the same general idea, but they're all different. And we've done 2 Christmas programs here where we gather people together back at Christmas time because it's such a hard time. And we don't sugarcoat it and say, okay, let's be fun, fun, fun. We just kind of get together and do what the group needs. And every group has been different. This last time, we focused on the uniqueness of each one of them and the uniqueness of snowflakes in wintertime.
Oh,
And that
cool.
was a really nice conference. We enjoyed that. So I want to touch people that want to take the time to figure out who they are. This
Yeah.
grief coach class from Pat helped me achieve that. It helped me articulate exactly what I was feeling so I could grow to help other people. We all have stuff we deal with and we just don't remember it all the time. But as you start growing, things pop back up in your head and you understand.
Yeah, wow. I love that, like, no matter the setting, because you do a lot of different stuff, from physical therapy to even you mentioned like helping people in business and kind of coaching through that to, of course, the grief space. It's like you mentioned, no matter what's going on in someone's life, you're really there to show up for them, to meet them where they're at. And your tone is so empowering. It's like we're gonna get you there, no matter where you want to go or what your path is like, you're that person that's gonna show up for them and to help to take those steps forward in their direction, no matter what that might look like for them. So I love that. And I'm curious, just with your whole range of experiences and professional support from, like you said, continuing ed and the business side and physical therapy and all of that, what drew you to the grief space specifically?
In a nutshell, hurting people hurt other people and themselves.
Mm.
Because grief, people will go around and say, how are you this Sunday at church? I'm fine, thank you. And underneath all that, there's this pain. My kid's not talking to me. My husband and I are fighting. I'm not where I want to be in my job. There's all this self-talk in your head, and you're just not there. And I want people to know this is a no judgment safe space because that's what touched my life. I can go through my life and see all the struggles of that one person that lifted me back up and put me up and just listened. They didn't solve it for me, they didn't tell me how to do it. They listened and I figured. And as I became more self empowered, I achieved more. Um, one of the funny things is I literally had to put myself through school and I was told, oh, you can't work while you go to school. That's just not allowed in physical therapy school. You couldn't do that back then. And I was like, okay, if you want to pay my bills, then you can. Otherwise, I'm going to make my grades and do what I'm going to do. And you just let me know when you have a problem with me, okay? And that's what people need to hear, that there's not a lot of no's, there's yeses. And how do we get to where those yeses make you feel better about where you're at? Because
Mm.
we're always going to have things in life that happen. Things are not perfect. But if you look at it as that glass half full and you don't see it half empty, it's really easier to remember who you were. Sometimes we get bogged down and we forget the person we used to be or the wants and dreams we used to want. And we think, oh, I can't do this in this time of my life, or I can't do this now. And maybe that one person that gives you that smile or gives you that encouragement makes you step out just a little bit, and gives you that little touch of I can. And the more I can we have in the world, the better off our world is.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And there's always going to be excuses or reasons why we shouldn't do something or challenges, roadblocks. It's not like it's going to be easy. But, like you mentioned, there's opportunity there for the steps forward and for the growth and to have someone there who's going to cheer you on while you do that. And you're that person. I love that about you. Is there like a specific moment or an experience that you had in your life that helped you to realize that you wanted to do grief support more intentionally, and what led you to finding the Confident Grief Coach School?
I would say it was when my brother-in-law passed away. He had hospice care, and my mother had cancer, and she had hospice care. And they were at two different times in my life. My mother had cancer when I was in my 30s and passed away very when I was in the middle of raising children. My brother-in-law passed away after all my children were gone. But the difference in the care given and what with the medical care and the hospice care and everything left his kids so wounded a little bit and the family kind of broken up, which is not the experience we had years before with my children and my family. And I felt really drawn to there was a different way. And so that's how I ended up going towards grief therapy because I felt like people just needed to know that someone sees them and hears them and that there was a compassionate way to do this. Um, I also started the hospital ministry that I do through the hospital every couple of days or so, every Wednesday. Um, that was not so much just to go in and help people. It was just to bring the Eucharist to them because I'm Catholic at that point. And it turned into, we'll sit down and talk and sit
Mm,
down and listen. And I realized that when you're trapped in that room and you have so much going on in your life, and the nurses and doctors are all so busy, just like I was when I was the physical therapist, I have 30 minutes to see you. Let's get this done. Let's go. These people just needed someone to talk to. They just
yeah.
needed someone to listen. They didn't want me to solve their problems. They just wanted some direction. And I think the more I realized that, the more I thought we needed people who could do those kind of things and
Mm,
not impose their view. Our world is very good at imposing their own view. If you turn the TV on, everybody has an opinion and everybody has a view. And you have to fit in either area, but it's okay if you don't. It's
mm.
really okay just to be who you need to be.
I love that. And you're totally right that we don't often get that affirmation very much anymore from people who are not trying to sell us something or make us believe something or convince us from something. To have those people that can just show up and just honor where you're at, how you're feeling, to really truly listen to you and to offer that presence, especially during, some kind of tragic event that's happening, something that's heavy, some form of loss, when, of course, the support team just they might not have that time and space. Like you mentioned, they're focused on their medical support or their clinical tasks or whatever it might be. So to have that person there that is like dedicated, like I'm here, I'm gonna listen, I'll be your shoulder to cry on, I'm not gonna try to make you move on or cheer up and get over it or whatever the narratives are, that so many people experience in that grief space. You're right. Like, we do need so many compassionate people out there doing that because sadly it's not so common to receive that kind of support.
When you're in grief, sometimes it's a very chaotic time and it's hard to make decisions and it's hard to know if you're right. And I recently experienced that right before Christmas. We have an older dog. I love my older dog. He is a junkyard dog that we adopted and rescued, and he has troubles. And I took him to the vet because I thought we had just a simple problem. And I was told, "Oh no, this is could be cancer. You might need to put him down today." And I was like, No, I'm not prepared to do this. We're leaving to go to Christmas. I'm not prepared to do this. We're not doing this now." "Well, you might need to think about that." And I was like, No, I'm not. We're going to treat a little bit and we're going to do this." And so we treated, and I brought him with us to Christmas, and he played with the grandbabies and the dogs and everything else. And we came back, and he's better. He is not cured of his cancer, but he is not suffering. He's not hurting. And I am glad I had the courage to say, no, I'm not prepared to do this at this time. And that's what I hope to empower people to realize that they have that power to say, I am not prepared to do this at that time. That doesn't mean I might not ever do it. And it doesn't mean it's a hard no, but at this time, I'm not comfortable with it. And I think we each individually forget we have the power to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, to be an advocate for folks, especially when you're in such a tender space, to hear the news that your dog is sick and needs to be put down today,
Well, I
like, oh my
was a
goodness.
mush. I was crying. I was like, no, I can't do this. This is not happening. And, then I came home and said, okay, let's regroup. What will work for me at this time? He's going to
Yeah,
go with us to Christmas vacation. He's going to
yeah,
get his meds. We're going to take care of him and we're going to come back and reevaluate. And
yeah,
it just so happens at this time, the acute issue solved. We still have the chronic issue, but he's happy. He's moving. He's playing. He's doing. I have pictures of the baby choking him to death, loving on him. I mean, so that ability for me to say, I'm not in the space to do this now is very empowering, but it also gave me more joy keeping him longer and he's here. And that would be something that when you're in chaos, it's okay to do because if you have a sister, she might say, oh, you need to do this right now. Or your mom is like, well, you need to do this right now. And if everybody's giving that at you, how do you feel strong enough to move? Or like, oh, if you don't do this right now, you may lose your job. What are you going to do about that? Okay, well, if you're working from 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night and not seeing your family, is that okay with you? Is that what you want to do? You know, what is your space that you want to look like, and what are your options to plan ahead if this is not working for you? So it's something that I feel like even my kids I have to teach. When you go in for the addiction, a lot of these kids believe whatever they see on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever they're hearing, and it doesn't empower them. It tells them the way it is. And then when you start talking about their choice and the marketing towards them, and that no, vaping is not safe because of this, that, or the other, then they start like, hey, well, maybe this lady's not crazy. Maybe. And then you like give them choices of how they want to choose their future. But,
yeah.
and that makes a difference for them. It's not a huge difference. I am not curing the world. I am planting seeds. And the seeds that you plant grow with time, just like seeds were planted in me a very, very long time ago.
Mm. That's beautiful. And I love that about coaching. We get to show up for people and help them to figure out what that voice is within themselves that gets to make the choice and have the decision and speak their authentic truth. But figuring out what that is not so easy sometimes when you're under the influence, like you said, of family members, maybe your employer, or maybe the marketing, the subliminal messaging that we get in our culture as well. It's like all of these things can cloud our ability to really tune into that part of ourself that has the answers. And that's what we do as coaching, is to help find that clarity of, well, what do you want for yourself? What choice, what autonomy, what decision do you want to make for your path forward? And to just kind of move through all of that other stuff that might be getting in the way of really listening to that authentic voice. So you put that beautifully just with your work with vaping in the youth support space. But where do you find yourself working with, or who do you like to support the most when it comes to, being a grief coach, and which populations are you most drawn to supporting?
That's hard because they all have their own different value and they all bring different things to the table. And there's been so many different groups. Like there have been people who are divorced and they thought this was supposed to be my forever ever, or someone who's lost the dog that they and their spouse had together and the spouse is gone, or older people that tend to have limited choices because the world categorizes you as you're not as useful as you used to be, you're not working anymore, you're retired, this person you were married to for 40 years is gone. Everybody has an opinion on how I should get out and do things and what I should give away and how I should do it, and I'm just trying to figure out life different in 40 years. Um, I think I love each and every one. I've had somebody that just came to me and said, I'm not happy anymore, and I don't know why. So how do I get happy again? And it took their definition of happy and what they wanted, which may not be mine, and in a safe zone where they can say that. And it's hard to say just one if you have so many different things. Because you remember, as a physical therapist, I did all sorts of things. I did spinal cord, head injury, neuro, burn, strokes, blah, 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 blah. So the spice of life is doing everything. I don't know that I can pick one thing.
Wow, that's okay. You don't have to pick anything, but when it comes to all of the different people that you serve, is there like some can you share a little bit more about the philosophy or maybe the values that you bring to that coaching space, or what you want people to know about the space that you create? You know, whether they're coming for, you know, figuring out how to be happy again, or quitting vaping, or some other deep loss in their life. What do you want people to know about that space that you hold for them?
It's an open space. You come in with no expectations, but I will tell you what I'm offering. I will tell you, and I have a little thing I send you out that's like a little contract, and it says, okay, these are the questions. This is what I'm offering. This is what it costs. This is what we're doing. At any time, if this is not helping you, we can withdraw. You're not locked into anything. If you decide, oh, we just don't hit it off, it's no offense, but it's not where I want to be, that's okay too. Um, each and every time I will be very honest with you and say, okay, what are you looking for today? How are you doing? Where are you going? And I sometimes tell people, okay, you're saying you can't do these things. What is one thing you can do next week that changes that? And so I call it homework for my kids in school, for my older people. I challenge them. I mean, you use different words for different things, but as long as you just talk and you stay in that same spot, you're not moving. And so
Mm.
every little thing you can do, even if it's just, okay, today I'm not looking at the news because it makes me angry and it makes me upset. And I'm going to listen to some music or read a book that makes me happy. That's a change. You're rewiring that brain. This is where that science comes in, and it talks about your neurochemical and your transmitters and how you're doing. Or I've junked out on potato chips and junk food because I just don't feel like cooking anymore because he's gone and I don't want to cook. Well, that's not feeding your brain and that's not giving. And there's a correlation between that. So let's talk about that. So I literally pull different things out of my toolbox, or you're not working and walking, maybe Tai Chi. Maybe we could do some Tai Chi. Or maybe I can help you visualize some things and do some meditation. My toolbox is big, and I just pull out for you what you need. And there's no set thing because everybody's a little bit different. Um, you can maybe need to go volunteer, get out of your house, go see and take care of pets, go rescue, foster a pet. You won't have to keep it forever, but you have company now and you're not by yourself. You know, whatever option works for you, that would be the best for them. My goal is that you come out more empowered
Mm.
and that you achieve it. I will give you information. I can be a wide variety of things. I don't have a set focus on, oh, I'm just religious or I'm just business or I'm just this. I'm going to address your needs wherever you're at. A lot of people will say, well, I'm just a faith-based or I'm a meditation exercise or I'm this. I am going to pull out of this toolbox where you need. I'm not going to set my personal views on you. I am not going to force you to move where you don't want to move and what you're not ready to do. But I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not going to say that, okay, everything should be all right and you should be over this now. You'll never hear those words out of my mouth. That's just not going to happen because everybody does grieve, move, and excel at different paces.
Yeah.
Part of my outside work from grief is I have a spiritual advisor that has worked with me, and we've done a lot of things with that. And in that, some of the very things you have in your head that you are hard and fast about, as you explore why you're hard and fast about them, you don't stay hard and fast about them. And you
Mhm.
learn to see and grow and change just a little bit. But I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. It's at the space I'm at now that I could do that post grief course, post continuing education, and all the things I've had in my life. So I really feel that you have a space in life that when you hit it, there's certain things that are there for you. And it's like you're going to look at a dinner plate. And on that dinner plate, it's time for you to pick those out and nourish yourself at that time in your life. And so that's what I really would offer my clients, that ability to nourish themselves.
Mm. Yeah, with so many different resources that you bring to the table, because like you said, everybody is unique and what they need is unique. And it's not like it's a rigid structure like this is going to work for everybody, but you have all these different tools in your toolbox that you're just open about. Like you mentioned, you're open, you create that flexible, safe space for your clients to just be open for whatever comes up that day, whatever their goals or their challenges are, or the places where they might be stuck. And you meet them where they're at and you honor that. And that's wonderful. Um, what has been the most rewarding part of doing this work?
I want to call it the aha moment, maybe for whoever you're working with, where you see the seed gets in, like for the first time they realize. With a grief client, it might be that they finally hear themselves, or they'll come
Mhm.
in and say, you know what I did this weekend? I did this. And it's the first time I was able to do that. And you just see them beaming. Or the other person that said, I set a boundary at work for the first time ever. I said I was not going to do this, and I didn't get fired, and it was okay. And I didn't raise my voice, and I didn't lose my cool, and I kept my space. But you see it in their eyes. And even for the kids at school, when you're working with them, and you'll ask them, okay, what did you hear? What did you remember? And they can feed you back something, and that you know that they honestly heard it and believe it. It's not going to change the world, but it's that seed planted. That's the best moment because some small difference was made. Even when I was in the hospital one day visiting someone, her child was very sick, and she goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying the things that I'm thinking in my head. And it was just that moment where you knew you were where you were supposed to be. You knew you were doing what you were supposed to be doing for someone at that moment. And that's what all our moments in life should sum up to be. That you are doing what you're supposed to be in life, and that you're not judging, you're not forcing your opinion on anybody, and you're giving everybody the room to be who they are. If you go to any family, there's going to be some family member that you act different around just because of that family member, or one friend that makes you act differently just because you're around that friend. When you finally find your space and your boundaries, you realize you don't have to perform anymore. You just have to be you. And that's a freeing space, and it's a comfortable space. And it transcends ages. We laugh. There's a movie out for Christmas right now that is a comedy, and it honors mothers who do everything for Christmas to try to get it all perfect for the family, and it falls apart. Well, I'm talking to someone about it my age, and we're laughing. And then I end up talking to my girls, and they go, I was so recognized. I understand it. And that's it. When you're recognized, it makes it all better.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that power of being acknowledged. And like you mentioned, those moments where it's like if you're, receiving that acknowledge from someone like your coach who's holding your hand through something tough, empowering you, to make those changes that feel impossible, perhaps, to have that acknowledgement feels so validating. And also, like you mentioned, that aha moment of like you're acknowledging something within yourself that really boosts that sense of confidence or leads you on that path of like just feeling a little bit more like you are who you're meant to be and you're on your path and you're a little bit freer to be yourself. I love that you said, that freedom to be yourself, no matter who you're around, no matter the situation, you feel grounded and solid in yourself. And that's what that's what your work is all about, right? No matter the circumstance
But
and no
it's
matter
not because of me, it's because of the work you do. And it's
right.
who you've realized you are that's always been there, but
Yes.
things got in the way. And
Right.
so it's like watching a flower bloom that, just suddenly comes open and it's blooming, and you're like, oh, this is so beautiful. And it's beautiful when people find themselves.
Oh, I love it. Well, if there's somebody out there who's watching this and they're feeling inspired to do what you do as far as walking with people on their journey to really coming into their fuller versions of themselves and supporting within that space. If someone is considering, going into this realm of coaching and specifically grief coaching, what would you want them to know? Is there any like advice or any perhaps any recommendation as far as considering the Confident Grief Coach School as a part of their support on their journey? But do you have anything you'd like to share with someone who might be watching this and feeling inspired?
The Confident Grief Coach School is wonderful. And then it gives you the ability to see the pathway. It's like, okay, we're going to start here and we're going to teach you how to interview and we're going to talk about the methods and we're going to do this. And then it moves forward and says, okay, how do we achieve and get past that? How do we get your hours? How do we support you to get there? And it's a safe space because usually when you start doing this and you start practicing interviews and start talking to people, you come up with your own stuff that you didn't realize you had. And then it's like, oh, wait. But that helps you learn. One of the things that you've always heard is that you have to walk in someone else's shoes to understand how they're feeling or to have compassion with them. And at this point, when you interview and you practice on these interviews and you're learning stuff, you're learning to walk with other people. You don't have to exactly be in their shoes, but you're walking with them. And then you've also had your stuff that you had, and you combine it together to come out as a more rounded person, able to give it and to give to people. The grief school helps each other move forward in a very positive way because it's overwhelming. If you go out and look at, okay, I want to be a coach, there is so much stuff out there and so much of I can be a Tai Chi coach, I can be this coach, I can be that coach, and none of it really sets down and says, are you fit for this? This is the pathway for us, and let us help you. And I think Pat School does that. It is accredited, it has the pathway, it helps you figure those things out, and it helps you move forward. And it doesn't say, oh, you graduated, bye. We're done now. We took your money, take off. It's there when you have questions and when you want help, and you have people that are like-minded that you can work with. And that's a beautiful gift because your community just enlarged completely when you do that. And when your community enlarged, you're able to serve people better. And you don't have a myopic view of what needs to be done. Your view is greater. And that is a very big plus for the school and for what can happen with the school. It can only keep growing and keep growing bigger and help people reach out farther.
I love that. Thanks for reflecting that. That's definitely, being a part of the school and sharing that mission, of course, to support people through those challenging times and along their grief journey. We need the people like you out in the world holding hands and cheering people on and offering that recognition and holding that safe space. So, thanks for doing all of that and for being a part of our community here. And yeah, we're honored to be able to support you with that and honored that you chose our program just as another tool in your toolbox to be able to share with the world. Do you have any last insights, advice, anything else you'd like to share to wrap up our time together?
I think I would just like to tell someone if you're looking to start a career in this, don't be afraid to just click on the link and go. If you're looking for someone to help you, don't be afraid to reach out. If I'm not the right person, then find someone else in this group that is, because everybody's different. Are composed of males, females, this person, that person. There's someone out there. The biggest point is to take a chance on yourself and move. Just move.
I love it. Wise words from Cindy.
I don't know about wise, but
Oh, yes.
hopeful.
Oh, definitely, definitely wise and hopeful. Thank you. Thank you for your time today and for chatting with us. And if anyone's listening and wants to learn more about Cindy and get in contact, all of that information will be within her profile. So you'll be able to reach her from there. And of course, if you're interested in feeling inspired from the work that Cindy does, of course, we're here to support you if you want to become a certified grief coach as well. But thank you, Cindy, so much for talking and sharing about yourself and sharing your story and the awesome work that you do. It really is an honor to have you in our community.
Thank you for having me today, and thank you for all the growth and help you've helped me achieve.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
You have a wonderful day.
Oh, thanks, Cindy.